Hello and welcome to Business Standard Dialogue. I'm Nivedita Mookerji, bringing you the 13th episode of the Business Standard webinar series. With the war in the background, today's webinar topic is stepping up oil exploration for energy security. The panelists for today's show are Ms. Sushma Rawat, former Exploration Director, ONGC.
Namaskar. Happy to be here.
Mr. Kumar Sharma, former Exploration Director, Oil India Limited.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
And my colleague from Business Standard, who covers energy as a beat, Ms. Shubhangi Mathur.
Hi, thanks for having me here.
Welcome to the show, everyone. As you can see, it's a women-heavy show. I'll go straight to Ms. Rawat. Coming to the subject of the webinar, how important is domestic oil exploration and production against the current geopolitical situation?
Right on. Nivedita ji, what I would like to say is the domestic or indigenous exploration for oil and gas is not only important now, with the war and all. And we are seeing an extended war and the geopolitical situation for the past might be 4 years since the Ukraine-Russia war started. Actually, we got affected right then. And before that also. Even otherwise, for a country which is so much import dependent, we are consuming almost 250 million barrels per day of this thing. The consumers, as consumers, we are, literally topping the list in terms of consumption and oil and gas. And also, we are a developing nation looking into increased manufacturing, production, growth in our GDP, which has been a focus for so many years now. So oil and gas being the bedrock of the energy, fulfillment. Domestic oil and gas exploration always has been important. And with ONGC, with Oil India, or with other private players also, you have seen the emphasis to discover and produce our own oil and gas has always been there. I'll basically talk about upstream, and then in spite of all the naysayers way back in the 50s, the formation of ONGC in 56, and these again discovery of oil and gas outside Assam in the western part in the Cambay Basin. And from then on, we are 9 commercial basins out of 26 which are on a commercial level. So it has always been important, and yes, it is a time-consuming, data-centric, concept-driven process. But we have established, and we have, at one point of time, we were almost catering to 50% of the country's requirement in terms of oil and gas. Yes, because our needs have increased, our consumption has increased. So yes, right now we are importing more crude, 50% of gas. But if you talk about sedimentary basins, 26 sedimentary basins, I said 9 only of commercial this thing. Yes, category 2, we have proven the presence of oil and gas. And if you look at the sedimentary cover, or the 3.36 million square kilometers, only 10% or 11% has been properly explored. Mm-hmm. So we are way behind in terms of, if you look at numbers, we are way behind in our exploration. And yes, it has always been a very cost intensive process, the hunt for oil and gas. It has been a risky process, a lot of uncertainties, but then the dividends which we get after a discovery, it's worth it. So domestic oil and gas and especially, like, if you talk in terms of geopolitics, mm-hmm. we are a country surrounded by the kind of neighbors we have. I think it was always important for us to be self reliant, self dependent on our requirements, not only of energy, but for anything. And I think India, its presence, its relationship internationally, we have been very adaptable and very, I would say, strategic diplomacy we have always adopted. But still, having our own oil and gas or other energy requirements and not being totally dependent on somebody else, it's very, very important for any nation, and especially so for India.
Right. Thank you so much for making it, such a great introduction to the subject. From there, we'll go to Mr. Sharma. Mr. Sharma, what really are the big challenges? Ms. Rawat spoke about it being a cost-intensive, data-intensive process. It's time-consuming. All that is there. But why is it that India has not been able to do what it was supposed to do till now in exploration?
Thank you. Thank you for getting me here. Challenges, before I just touch upon the challenges, I would like to touch upon the actually challenges will be always there in a probabilistic world where we search for hydrocarbon and we try to find out hydrocarbon presence. It is actually something below which is not touchable, not usually seen by naked eyes, and then you visualize and carry out the whole exploration. It is actually, they say that it's more of a how conceptualizing power that helps you to find out oil basis the scientific support. So, but then the question is, these last challenges are there in earlier days also, but then this has been evolved quite a lot. Last decade has seen lots of changes towards this, and understanding and perceiving the whole context and dependency with a very speedily growing economy as India. It has been properly tapped. The issue is properly tapped, and then this has been taken care of. Like, there are changes in policy, which is actually trying to help out more participation from international operators and other things that has been seen in last decade has been quite an amazing thing. But challenges are there. But what if we started now with a very aggressive Samudra Manthan, that offshore oriented kind of exploration that government of India is starting, and then with a you will be amazed to know ki more than 50% of the area, offshore area, which is actually covered as a sedimentary basin with prognosticated resources, very high prognosticated resources, has yet to be seen through exploration in deep waters. By deep waters, I would like to say that anything beyond 400 meters of water depth is called deep waters. And there is also a demarcation where we define it as ultra deep waters. So these are the area where, we are seeing very less exploration. And thanks to aggressive activity of ONGC, where they KZ deep water, Eastern, you will be, the figure if I say, it will be 14,000 million metric ton of oil equivalent lying even only in the eastern coast of India. So those are the requirements that we need to attain, but the challenges are there. But then exploration activities are being taken care of, and also with a government participation of gathering more data through the stratigraphic wells. Stratigraphic wells are some wells where we do not directly go for finding out oils, but we try to understand the geology of the basin, and by which we try to find out a holistic and scientific approach towards locating the oil. So all these things, but as we stand today, coming back to your question, we are having big challenges in a single window environment, kind of clearances. Single window clearances, which is actually many a time pushing us down. Even the public sector unit organization, which is very much part of government of India, are also getting delayed because of this. Government of India is slowly adding the thing with ease of doing business, but then still there are lots of things to be done where this particular area needs to be taken care of. And then exploration is a very cost-intensive process. And participation of international operators that we desire so desperately is not happening today. So when you look back with all this attention being given to exploration, but still the requirement thing is not happening. So what is that pulling us down? It's a big question in front of us.
Right, very important points. We'll come back to those points. I'll go to my colleague Shubhangi. Shubhangi, as a reporter, you're speaking to officials. What is happening on the reform front, on policy, regulatory front? Is there any push on exploration?
Thank you for giving me the floor. So there's like a very stark difference when I'm talking to officials, executives, in the way they're looking at exploration now. Obviously, they have been saying that, this is something which we have been focusing on for a very long time. But from the government side, I think there's a lot of push. They want to kind of, with the government now going to Nagaland, the border area of Assam and Nagaland, and they want to kind of, uh, resolve those issues that these two states face and resolve them and start exploration there. That's like one of the examples. The others, I think one of the thing that we only reported, which talked about when an oil PSU is evaluated, how we increase the weightage given to exploration of a company when it comes to the evaluation of an oil PSU. So an oil PSU is more incentivized to kind of start step up their exploration efforts. So small steps, but in the right direction, kind of seems like that. They want to kind of push the companies. They want to kind of maybe support them fiscally also with the Samudra Manthan program, although we don't exactly know what exactly it's going to, how exactly it is going to support the Indian exploration sector, because the details, the fine print is still not out. But the expectation is that it will support data collection. Now, whenever we approach foreign companies, the first complaint they have is that you don't have enough data for us to come and invest in your sedimentary blocks. So the government kind of wants to, like, they want to maybe like start from point A, and they want to dig deeper as to where they can support the companies, where they can support the sector. So there's a shift for sure, but obviously the experts can tell us more as to if that's enough or not.
Yes, Ms. Rawat, what is happening? The small step that Shubhangi spoke about, is that enough? Shouldn't we going like all hog really fast, because this is the need of the hour?
Nivedita, there are certain things I would like to put across. Number one, exploration is, like I said, it is a time-bound process. The major phases, I would say, for exploration, of course, let me put here that in the past decade, where I have very closely followed what the government policies and regulations are, they have been very, very open. They have been very supportive of any improvement in the existing policies. You saw the ORDA Act, to which was archaic, almost more than 5 decades old, that got improved. But let me say, exploration should not be a knee-jerk reaction. Okay, it has to be consistent. It has to be consistent for any company, for any national oil company, oil and gas company, I would say. And there has to be enough importance given to it. From the government side, absolutely no, I would say, no issues in terms of the support. It's been tremendous, right from the honorable Prime Minister talking about the no-go zones, no-go areas which are under the MOD, freeing those zones. And then, of course, OLP has come, help policy. There has been there, of course, like Manaji said, single window approach has still to be done. But yes, now coming to the companies, if I talk about ONGC, and let me put it, for an exploration and production company, I do not think that there is enough importance given to exploration. We can talk about Samudra Manthan. We can talk about the resources there are, of course, prognosticated resources. But uh, I know, and I have been a part of the exercise in which the resources were estimated, both the risked as well as the unrisked. And but exploration, I mean, it should not be okay. Today we'll do it. Tomorrow we can't do it. Okay. I mean, there has to be enough emphasis given. The ratio has to be a very balanced in a approach to what is allocated for exploration, the manpower deployed. If I talk about ONGC, it is 8% of the total manpower which is doing active exploration. Okay, which is a very, very small number according to me for an E&P company. Geoscientists have to be given importance because I mean, this is a cliched thing or an old adage which a lot of people would know about, that oil is first found in the mind of the geologist.
Mhm.
And Dr. Manas will absolutely agree with me, because you have to conceptualize a lot, because you have to visualize a lot, you have to take the surface manifestation into the subsurface, for which we do not have data most of the time, or very little data based on analogs. And this has been done, it's not something new, it has been done over the ages. We are a global community. It is nothing like Indian geoscientists, or we follow the norms, the concepts, the new methodologies, the new technologies adopted worldwide in the industry. And I think ONGC adopts almost anything into in terms of concepts. The geoscientists, they are from good universities. They are people who have opted for geosciences. I used to say one Sachin Tendulkar cannot win the match.
Mhm.
And if all the 11 become Sachin Tendulkars, then also I don't think we can win the match. You require each and every kind of expertise in whatever pursuit you go for. It's not only engineers, and sorry to say, there's too much emphasis on engineers. I would rather say or challenge, अगर engineering इतना अच्छा है, improve the production, improve the recovery factor from the discoveries that we have made. Okay, and it is not me, it's been over the down the ages, how much of unmonetized discoveries there are. Instead of questioning ki, what you estimated was wrong. Again, I'm just speaking from data. I am a data analyzer. I mean, I spent 4 decades looking at data,
Mhm.
and I have seen trends. All our fields, and I think Dr. Manas will agree with me, the initial estimation of reserves, what was done, and ultimately what we have produced over the years, the fields have grown, the estimates have grown, instead of being the other way around. So we have sort of lot of most of the times under predicted the numbers, and we have got much more than the fields have grown. I mean, you look at
Mhm.
the sustenance of production by Oil India in the northeast, and Digboy has been going for so many years. There are so many fields which were discovered in the 50s and the 60s, and they're still producing. You look at Bombay High, you look at the entire Cambay Basin. I mean, getting recoveries of the initial reserves to the extent of 80% of the estimated reserves is a big factor. That means that might be my estimation was lower, and we are still making discoveries. There are new sands, there are new fields which are coming up, even in areas, even in Western offshore, even in Western onland, in Cambay Basin, even in Assam. So if people say कि India में oil or gas नहीं है, it pains me, because they really do not understand. And the other thing is, one is in terms of the extent, the acreage. The other is in terms of depth. People never ever think about the depth and the multiple layers that are present, and they can all be hydrocarbon bearing, they can all be oil and gas bearing. So within if you have a 10 square kilometer area, but if you get 20 layers which have got oil and gas, you don't need to go outside that area, you need to go deeper.
Right. Right. Miss Rawat, you mentioned Big Boy. So from there, my question would be, we started production there more than 100 years ago. So why is it that we are still not a hydrocarbon powerhouse?
See, I mean, it's a little difficult and a little delicate to answer that. I will straight on say, if you talk about Assam, the recovery factors, if I have 100, supposing I predict that there is 100 metric ton, and if I am able to recover 50, 60 tons out of it, it is a good recovery. We take it in terms of recovery factors. Worldwide for oil, the numbers are around 60% of the predicted reserves. Okay, we have this P10, P50, P90. Okay, the field grows the the proven, the probabilistic, and probable. So and in gas it goes even up to 90% of recovery from the estimated number. Now, if you come to India, in a lot of places, yes, we have been very successful in actually bringing out that oil and gas to the surface. In most of the areas, I don't think we have been able to recover what was required. The inefficiency in the system needs to be improved. And I'm being very blunt about it. There is oil and gas. And geology, it differs basin to basin, layer to layer. The you would attribute good engineering to good recovery. Okay, I mean, see, otherwise you get underground water. Even a farmer is able to extract the water without too much of engineering to it. Right? The approach has to be very customized. There is no one rule for all reservoir. We know we have very tight reservoirs. We know that fracking is required, hydraulic fracturing of that reservoir to improve the connectivity of the pores which hold oil or gas, in terms of increasing the permeability. All that needs to be done.
Interesting points. And once Sachin Tendulkar can't win the match, that kind of stands out.
Yes.
I'll come back to you, Mr. Sharma.
Yes.
You mentioned international players. Why is it that so many international players have exited India?
Oh, that's a history. Actually, during the earlier phase of our revamping the exploration policy, when you enter into NELP and other area, it is in 90s, and then it has evolved for quite some time. Around multiple rounds of NELP bidding has been taken place. But during that time, it is actually a kind of profit sharing basis contract. So there, that contract actually, because of that only we have learned our mistake, and we have moved to a new hydrocarbon exploration licensing policy in 2016. So this has happened, in this case, actually, finally, there are participation in initial phase because of the encouragement and opening up of areas. But then international parties have selectively faced certain issues like more of a legal implications to it, and then completion of these legal things. And also, when you are having a profit sharing contract, you tend to gain, you require money out of your initial investment. And then international party has organization also adopted similar type of things, which has bring in lots of conflict during those days. If you go back to history, you will see that there are conflicts. And there are also cost recovery mechanism involved with that. That also has actually created some kind of difference of opinion between the operator as the regulator. And then this has taken place for quite some time. And then actually, and longer durations. And then, and also this has been again getting enhanced by the permissions of like clearances, that environmental clearance and other activities, no-go areas, and other things which are also pushing us down. So all these things together has given an impression that we are not yet, maybe we are not yet ready for the exploration. So slowly they have actually decided to detach from exploration in India. And as we have struggled today, that old memories are also getting some kind of turmoil behind their brain. But then still, this is actually been attended now. And also now we are standing in a situation, if I am an operator, I can actually very much evaluate, national data repository, which were not available during those days. But now we have a open data repository. Anyone can access our data. We have a mechanism where all these regulations and other things are not there. Only revenue sharing contract is there. And then you commit and accordingly you perform.
So
And
are you hopeful right now that international majors will come back?
Yes. We are hopeful. I'll bring in an analogy. A few minutes back, I talked about lots of resources in our East Coast offshore areas. But on the other side of the international border, there are international companies operating in these areas, and they are professionally making deep water investments and making money out of it. But when we talk about exploration in Andaman, we are talking about exploration in ultra deep water and deep water. We are not having yet received any participations. So that is the big question that has come up to our mind in these days. What is the little thing that needs to be done to bring in is this participation? So here, these regulatory clearances and then kind of incentivization for these things, that, like my ma'am has also said already, exploration is it's always has a kind of typical time range to mature. Early born will definitely give you a defective child. So that is actually not going to happen in this world of us. So we need to have certain exploration area and certain understanding. And it is not that, you drill a well and you will say that I'll discover the well from right from the first well. You try to understand the host where it is there. You try to understand the basins where it is there. That needs some kind of scientific approach for drilling multiple wells. Go back to international successes, Nivedita. If you look at international successes, all these wells, were drilled, there were never actually kind of magic type of discovery anywhere in the world. Every discovery, big discovery, has seen lots of perseverance, lots of sustaining exploration, lots of failures, so-called failures in the mind of non-geologists. Those are there. We do not call it failures because every well is a data point for us and we understand the thing better for the next step. It is always a learning, building up stronger learning from the kind of data we gathered. So all these things has happened, And another thing which is actually I personally feel is, if you look at those discoveries and the interest that is sustained in international operator to continue working in those areas for multiple times, multiple kind of challenges and not successful wells, there, they used to have a government supported funding. Initial exploration phase is offshore is too much of a expensive business. So anyone who will try to participate this thing as a business will be slightly shaky about participating in a money where initial exploration takes place. So I personally feel that here in this case, a kind of government supported, assisted exploration strategy, which can sustain for some initial phases of exploration in this area where we are not touched yet. Andaman offshore, Andaman ultra deep waters, we have not touched yet. There are living at KG deep water, other things are all there. Only 11% of 11% is kind of covered by exploratory efforts. Our exploratory well density, national density is kind of 2.34 wells per 1,000 square kilometer. If you bring that whole thing to kind of in offshore, it will drop to a level of only half, right? So total offshore wells we have drilled how much? It is roughly kind of 1965 or 199 2000 wells we have drilled. Majority of these wells are being drilled in Bombay offshore. Roughly more than 1100 wells are drilled in Bombay. Leave aside those shallow water Bombay offshore, then how much wells we have drilled to reflect our true interest to explore in the offshore areas. So, like ma'am said, you have to have a sustenance to continue exploration in that area to understand the area once for all, so that whether there is, it is equally challenging to tell that this area is not having oil. You need to prove it before saying that it is not there. So all these efforts are actually pulling us down. And I think government supported assisted exploration, and kind of stratigraphic wells that is being drilled now, that is also been pursued very strongly by ma'am during her earlier days. And now it is happening. So in our end also.
Right.
But one thing I need to
Yes.
disclaim about is,
Yes.
Oil India, a smaller company, but here, I feel that exploration is been seriously taken care of as much as possible. But because there are two components, but then explorations are still not 50-50, of course, because the development where your money earned is there, but it has been increasing. So only solution is you have to drill more wells, because again, that are some area where, you have proven category 1 basins, there is hydrocarbons. What is stopping us to go to exploration? It is because of the forest clearance or logistically difficult terrain where we cannot move the rig. So we need to have our in-house adaptable rigs. We need to have our interest to continue drilling in those areas. Hardly 1860 million metric ton of oil equivalent is still untouched in Pole Belt region in Northeast. So we are having scopes, like ma'am said. We are having scopes, but question is, we need to reflect our intent as well as kind of sustenance to this exploration.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma, for so passionately explaining the basics and really, really interesting facts. Ms. Rawat, two things. There are bottlenecks in reserves of oil and gas and exploration, and yet we are a refining giant. How do you look at the two things which are like kind of diametrically contrasting?
What I would say is, we need to segregate upstream from downstream, especially the domestic production. And refining is a totally different ballgame, right? We are importing because a lot of, petrol, diesel, whatever refined products, the value added products, we are again exporting and earning foreign exchange for it. So it need not be that, because we do not have sufficient oil, we need not import. The other thing is, it is generating employment. We are, saving the forex which we spend in buying crude by exporting the finished products of, from the refineries. The other thing, if you look at, and this thing also I mentioned, we are the world's third largest consumer of oil and gas. So the refining has to be there, and I think the approach was again reiterated that during this crisis which we had from February because of the Iran-US conflict. I don't think there was any panic in anywhere in India. I mean, if you look across the length and breadth of this thing, initially 1 or 2 days, even I thought, yeah, should I get my tank full? You might not be getting petrol or diesel for that matter. But I think that point never came. And the distribution, the whole, the way the approach was there by the ministry, by the government of India in ensuring the supply, LPG supply. I mean, I need not talk about that over here, but yes, refining is important to us. We are not only catering to our requirements in terms of the finished products, in terms of petrol, diesel. Yes, LPG is getting imported, but again, you saw the city gas distribution. It's coming up very well. The piped natural gas again is picking up momentum. And of course, then with ONGC, we have this ONGC Videsh Limited. And even Oil India has a Videsh, a foreign branch. So either we take equity oil, or we are doing exploration, or being partners, or JV partners in some of the assets across the globe. So part of that oil also comes back to India. That was the initial. So again, for the refineries, the requirement for the refineries is there. Domestic production, domestic exploration is important. You are saving forex, creating employment for the people, exploiting your natural resources sustainably, and then you are ensured that in terms of when push comes to shove, or I hope it never ever happens for India. We have got good relations across the globe, even in terms of sourcing our crude and gas. But we need to be self-sufficient. It gives another what would you say, level of confidence in trying to face adversities. And that is why, as you would have heard about the strategic petroleum reserve. We just have it for at a stretch might be maximum 15 days, the reserves. I look at it in another way, and I have been saying, look at the discoveries as a strategic reserve, but please do monetize them. And monetization of the discovered oil and gas, whatever small is there. Sometimes the fields grow as you drill more and more wells, as you acquire more and more data. And this has happened with Bombay High. Initial estimates were around 549 mmtoe. Currently it is 2300 mmtoe if you talk about Mumbai High itself. It has grown because exploration, we call it SIMEX, simultaneous exploration and production or development. So that's the way it grows. And refineries have their own right, because, and now you're seeing along with the refineries, we are talking about green hydrogen. So the emissions from the refineries of the CO2, converting it to something else. So it's like a whole cyclic energy cycle which is being taken care of. And refineries, yes, it is important. And not only the capacity, the type of crude that can be processed by these refineries, it's got a very wide range. So that is another plus point for India in terms of importing different kinds of crude, because there are different APIs to it. Like you would have heard about Brent crude, you would have the Arabian Light, you would have heard about the WTI. The prices also vary. So refining is as important, I would say. And for an integrated company like ONGC, if the crude prices improve, it's good for upstream. If they go down, it is good for the downstream, for the refining company. So for an integrated company, on fiscal terms, to be a balanced company, or to show profits year after year, I think this is very important.
Refining is as important. Shubhangi,
Yes.
I'll come to you. Do you have any questions for our panelists?
Yeah, I actually want to understand one thing. I mean, when it comes to exploration, now these two people we have today with us are the ones who have talked to all the international companies. They are the ones who have, I think, invited them to come and invest in India. Surely the government officials talk to them, but these are the people and at the forefront who. So I just want to understand. I mean, what is their opinion? What are they saying whenever the last time you talked to them? What are the issues that they have raised that, if maybe if we dissolve them, they would be more interested, more inclined into coming into India and invest here?
Yeah, Ms.
So,
Rawat?
yeah, Shubhangi, if I may, let me talk about ONGC. At one point of time, we were engaged with 6 IOCs, right from Chevron, ExxonMobil, to Shell, to we had Equinor with us. Then we were also talking with Total, and they have interests. And this was at a point of time when the ORD had not come, it had not been approved. There was a talk of it. And we had joined technical studies team, which comprised technical members from ONGC and their companies, and they went through the entire datas which were with the companies, which were with the NDR, and they have studied the entire areas. So what I would like to say, and when we were talking about exploration being a risky business, I think everyone talks about Guyana because that is another area where production is really really going very high. Exxon has got its blocks there. Chevron is also participating, but nobody knows the story before the discovery of Liza. They almost drilled 51 dry wells.
Mhm.
And I was asking one of the team members of Exxon. I said I would like to know the story. It is kudos to the management which thought, okay, now we have 51 wells, not by Exxon, there were earlier players also, but since we look at the data in terms of totality, whatever was drilled, that also is a source for us for assessing the subsurface. So I said, what was it that that made them say, okay, let's give it another try? Because most of the time what happens is you drill one dry well, you drill the second one, if it is also dry, it is very very difficult, and I think Manas sir will agree with it, to convince any stakeholder to put money there. Okay. And what I was told, they said the geologist who had worked there for years, uh, he came across some new concept and way of looking at things. Plus, they reprocessed the data, also acquired some of it. And he was absolutely convinced. He came up with a new geological model, which he was able to put across and say, okay, let's go for it. And Liza became, the jackpot, they hit the jackpot there. But that is why I said exploration cannot be a knee jerk reaction. Exploration cannot be like, okay, today I am having a problem, so let me start exploration. No, it has to be consistent. Production, yes. Today, if you are, you can improve your recoveries of oil. You can do enhanced oil recovery. You can do tertiary recovery. But for exploration, it has to be a consistent uh, effort, which is sustainable over a period of time, because the concepts keep on coming. You keep on looking at data in different manners, and of course the level of uncertainty again is there. uh, Talking about these major oil companies, crude companies, they have faith in India holding oil and gas in certain pockets. Okay. We had extensive discussions with Chevron when I was the basin manager there, and they had already started interacting. If I'm putting it in a very simple language,
Yes.
and this is what I'm saying, they said, ma'am, you tell us one thing, and like Manasar also said, even Northeast has got a lot of potential in terms of prognosticated reserves. They said in Bangladesh, we've got huge gas fields, and it's just a line on the map. The geology extends. Okay, what we see in Tripura, and Tripura is one of our highest gas producing
Yes.
assets, and which ONGC has. He said the numbers which we see in Bangladesh, in terms of field, and they were operating there, they were producing there. This side, I mean, their opinion was we were being conservative in our estimation of how much there can be. And this
Right.
is Chevron telling me. And he said,
Right.
why is it so? I said, and I really did not have a ready answer. And I think somewhere we are hesitant in being, saying, okay, we have oil and gas. But over the years, because I think, let me say that I have worked across almost all the 26 sedimentary basins. I have a belief India has got lot of oil and gas. It is the way somewhere the way we are looking at it is not correct, or the way we are exploiting is not correct. I mean, there is so much more room for improvement, and it's
That's
not
a
only Chevron, Exxon. I mean, any company you talk about.
That's a very, very optimistic note to end the show with. We have a lot of reserve, but we'll take a couple of audience questions. Lots of questions are there. If you can just briefly answer. First one is from Seshadri Venkatraman. What are the energy alternatives available in India for import substitution, and how can the government support the initiative? Very briefly, Mr. Sharma.
Yeah. Energy, it's a very nice topic, and it has been thought about is actually immediate bridge for the deficiency or shortage of the import requirement and vis-a-vis the demand. So here, immediately that there are three things that has been taken care of mainly by this energy. One is the transportation and mobility. The other one is the electricity or power generation for industry as well as the society, and also for other things. And also there are other resources. But then looking at this, the immediate takeover will be that India government is taking care of is a nuclear energy, which will definitely substantiate our energy requirement. And lots of work has been done in this case. Then ma'am has mentioned about green hydrogen. Green hydrogen is actually the natural hydrogen. So green hydrogen is a product of industry. The green natural hydrogen is another area where it has been the world is looking after. But then we do not exactly know how much resources are there for us. So it is actually again in a logistically difficult areas. So there we need to carry out. The other thing is the water that India is actually gifted with lots of water. So then different type of dams and hydroelectricity is another substitution. But above that, the immediate taken care of is, although it has been actually very arrogantly or very strongly disagreed, but biofuel is one area where actually India can genuinely reduce the pain. Biofuel is one area where you can reduce the pain. It is the call of the automobile industry to make it adaptable. But end of the day, if we put up the requirement, it has to be there. But then it is actually to be done in a very phased manner. That so that the person which is maintaining the fleet of vehicles can digest the shock. So,
right.
So that is where I will end on this.
Nivedita, I'll just add to
Yes,
that.
yes.
Talking in terms of natural energy resources, because I'll talk first about the subsurface, solar and wind, everybody knows about. The another thing which can very strongly, subsist the energy requirement, one is coal. Now, we have coal, which is extensively present in India, the kind of geology we have. So we are already mining coal, as you all know, as a coal. But then we also have coal bed methane. Okay, we are already, not only ONGC, but SR and other companies, they have been producing methane from the coal. The other is another, it was an R&D concept in ONGC in the 80s, but now again it is gathering momentum, is the underground coal gasification. It is a cleaner option to, extracting energy from coal. The other is geothermal. Okay. Again, India has, and studies have been done. We had brought out compendiums for geothermal. We know where the hot spots or the sweet spots are. But I think it needs to be given much, much more emphasis. And I think the MNRE has been, looking towards that side. The companies like ONGC, Oil India, and other companies which have the subsurface data, they can go through that data again, like for the golden hydrogen, the natural hydrogen. So the understanding of the subsurface will bring you these 2-3 resources in addition to oil and gas.
Right. Thank you.
It's again sustainable, yes. So that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We've completely run out of time. It was a great discussion on such a topical subject. So basically what all of you are saying is that there should not be a knee-jerk reaction to exploration. It's a consistent process. The intent has to be clear, and the future looks optimistic.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep.